So welcome and thank you all for taking valuable time out of your Monday to be here with us. Although for me, this is a great Monday. Like, I love being in a room with creative people, and especially in a creative space like this. This is pretty fabulous. My name is Shel Sanchez. I'm the Director of Cultural Services. I'm really happy that so many of you came out today. And I have the easiest, best job today. I'm just the introducer. So our first speaker is someone that you all know a lot about. But I want to make sure that you know how deeply he believes in the role of art and culture in our community. I want to make sure you know how committed he is to elevating art, culture, and individual artists and their role in our community. And I also want you to know how genuinely he expects and participates in collaboration, which is a really big deal, I know, for a lot of us in the room. And most importantly, I want to make sure that you know that he believes in equity and problem solving and going fast and going far, and he holds all of us accountable for that. So I think you might know who I'm talking about. Mayor Tim Keller.
Well, thank you so much for that. I like fast and far. This actually kind of added a little far part there. I like that. So anyway, this is good. Well, for me, this is important because of a number of reasons. But also, I just want to begin by saying, you know, probably the most important thing I get to do is actually just staff the city, which includes Shel and a lot of people behind me, and our CAO, Sarita Nair, and economic development with Cynthia Armillo. And so I know, too, what Shel articulated really is a vision for all of us who are in different positions at leadership level and the front line in Albuquerque. Part of what I ran on was a vision that we've got to capture that which we are extra special at. And part of that, of course, is tied into our cultural heritage and the identity and the stories that make us who we are. But we see the outcome of that, or the sort of reflection of that publicly, often through arts and culture, almost primarily through arts and culture. You might throw in like food a little bit there too, and some around economic development. But to me, that is about bridging that which we have a competitive advantage in is of course our cultural heritage. We see that economically in the creative economy. And so the question really for us is, okay, understanding that and believing in that, what do we actually do to try and lift up individual artists, individual participants in the creative economy? And I know to the extent with which we can also make it a full-time job, frankly, right? This is also a big rub. It's like, how can I make a career in a creative economy, not just a side hustle? And so trying to do that is a lot about what we're announcing today. And so, excuse me, I also want to mention too that, you know, for me, oddly, I was an art history major, which I don't often get to talk about except with the folks who I see at events like this. But, you know, I was never good enough to actually be creative, but I feel like I was really good at appreciating creativity in others. And so that's also why, you know, we do like to joke. There's a few folks, even at the city, we also just straight up hired artists into management positions, which I think is also awesome. And so I don't like to totally call them out, but you know, we've got Carlos Contreras, of course, running our innovation and marketing, Hakeem Bellamy, Deputy Director of Cultural Services. We have folks who literally, I believe that in that diversity of profession as well, artists should have a role in running our city, and I'm proud to say that they do, very much so. Now, today, what we're going to talk about is primarily our Tipping Points for Creatives project. And other folks are going to sort of explain how this works, but this is about professional coaching. It's about utilizing performance space, and it's also about production and promotion of individuals' work. And so this is something that I think we've seen historically. The city might have tried a project on a temporary basis, a pilot project here or there. They might have also seen, okay, how do we actually help one specific creative individual with their work? We're trying to institutionalize this so that this is part of both our cultural services work and our economic development work. And that's what makes this announcement today, I think, the beginning of something very special and hopefully very meaningful to our community. So to hear more about that, Shel is going to introduce some of our other speakers. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Okay, so I would venture to say that a lot of us have good ideas, and probably we've all had a few brilliant ideas, especially looking around the room. I know that's true because I can see who's in the room. But the way I see it, an idea is not really anything until it's put into action. And so for the Tipping Points project, Dafina McMillan is actually the action behind the idea, and she's come in to really help us put a frame around this and push the idea forward. So I'm going to let her talk about what Tipping Points really is.
Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? Oh, so many familiar faces and new faces. Thank you, Shell. It's really been a treat to work with you and dream up this idea. It's been a partnership, and you're a rock star. So thanks for your leadership. It's also been a treat. Some of you don't know this, but I just moved to Albuquerque about a year ago, and I've been so lucky and grateful for all of the artists in this room and folks I don't even know yet who have embraced me with open arms. So moving here for the Culture Bears is it was in my top 5. I have a list of reasons I moved to Albuquerque, so I just want to say thank you for your hospitality. So yes, as the programming and program planning and program lead, I'm here to share more about the specific components of Tipping Points. Better? Good. First, we want to co-create an emergent and iterative program with a creative community that is actually going to be useful. A program that's going to be adaptable and based on what artists want and need, and even more importantly, a program that won't be too cumbersome for individual artists. Phase 1 of the program is quite simple. We want to hear directly from artists. We'll do this first by asking them to complete a short, and I mean very short, questionnaire. To the artists in the room, the questionnaire is now live, and you can find it on the website, cultureabq.com. The deadline to complete this form is March 31st. The questionnaire will help us get a more precise read on what artists need right now, what the biggest pain points are, as well as their hopes and dreams. Completing the form will also signal to us, the city and team, what artists are actually interested in participating in the second phase of the program, convenings. Phase 2 will include curating a series of in-person convenings with artists starting this spring, based on what we learned from the questionnaire responses. We'll bring together performing artists, visual artists, creative entrepreneurs, and artisans with similar challenges in order to fine-tune the most critical needs and identify the resources that would fulfill them. We believe in the power of bringing folks together, and we want to support creatives learning from each other. We are our greatest resource. So, between the questionnaire and the convenings, if you're still with me here, we think or hope we'll have a better idea of what resources we should pull together and prioritize. In phase 3, then, we'll allocate resources and give artists what they say they need. The city has access to an array of tools like performance space, promotion and marketing vehicles, financial experts, training programs, photographers, and more. We'll also work collaboratively with our partners, some behind me, to pull their resources and services and play collective matchmaker so artists can reach their next tipping point. That's the program. We'll learn every step of the way and be willing to adapt as needed. Maybe our current hunches about the resources artists need are totally off base. So we'll do a lot of listening, modify as we go, question our assumptions, and course correct when we need to. We know that artists are integral to building community, stimulating connection, and creating a sense of pride. Artists shape narratives and help us envision what's possible. Artists empower us to speak and live our truths. We hope that the artist community and those of you in this room will come along with us for this journey. Thank you.
All right. So I just want to take a moment to recognize the City of Albuquerque's Economic Development Working Group. First of all, that we have one, which is fabulous, and it's led by our amazing Chief Administrative Officer, Sarita Nair. So if you don't know that you should be clapping for Sarita, she is a rock star, so you can do it right now. And if you don't know that, then you need to reach out and spend a few minutes talking to her about absolutely anything. And the fact that we have an economic development working group, which is made up of several departments, and not always departments that you would expect to be in the conversation, but departments that have big impact, and also includes cultural services, which I am very appreciative of, that cultural services is at the table when we're talking about economy. And most excitingly, we have Cynthia Jaramillo here, our Director of Economic Development, and it is amazing to be a partner with her on this initiative and lots of other great things that we're cooking up. She's a huge advocate for the creative economy and for artists. She was before she got here. She is right now, and she probably always will be. So come on up, Cynthia. Oh, I'm just teasing. Thank you, Shel. Likewise, and back at you. You're a rock star, just like Dafina said, and I absolutely work for an amazing rock star. Sarita allows us the opportunity to work collaboratively, and I am incredibly grateful. Before I get started with my remarks, I'd like to just appreciate the space that we're in. Story Labs is a part of our One Albuquerque Engage project, and this space is just incredible. If you haven't had the opportunity to experience Story Lab, please make sure that's on your list. Again, I'm excited to be here as a partner with Cultural Services to share our enthusiasm for this new program from an economic perspective. It's clear to all of us that artists, creatives, and makers are the core of any economy. Artists are entrepreneurs that create jobs, inspire innovation, and attract visitors to this place we all call home. We've seen this through and through. Dafina's testimony was just a perfect example of that. According to the most recent National Arts and Economic Prosperity Study published by Americans for the Arts, the nonprofit arts and culture industry generated $166 billion of economic activity during the year of 2015. That's incredible. Now, this activity supported 4.6 million jobs and generated $27.5 billion in revenue to local, state, and federal governments. Whether it be Kai and Molly and their retail shop, the mural artists that have helped bring new energy and foot traffic to downtown, or the thousands of jobs Netflix will bring to this city, artists are the central to our community and the core of our economy. We must do everything we can as a city to support our local creative economy and to equip our artists, Burqueños, my favorite word, Mayor, with the resources they need to thrive. It will only make Albuquerque stronger and a place where artists can create their best work and live their best lives. So thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate you, Shel. Sorry, it's okay. No worries. I want to take a quick moment and have just a side note. Sounds like a side note, not a side note. But we have with us here Bill Woldman and Cal Curry, field representatives from Tom Udall's office. They're right here. Raise your hands. All right. I mean, it's great that they're here because we appreciate the representation, but we are also very appreciative because Senator Udall is going to reintroduce the CREATE Act tomorrow. Is that right? So those of you that don't know about the CREATE Act, take a moment, find these guys after and talk about it. It's an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing vision that, that Udall has for the creative economy at a federal level. So please, please reach out to them before they leave. And thank you for joining us for our small initiative. We have some community partners, and it's really important that we have community partners on this initiative because there are some amazing things happening already in the city of Albuquerque for creative entrepreneurs. Southwest Collaborative Creations is here, South Valley Economic Development Center, Creative Startups, the Loan Fund. There's a lot of people doing amazing things for creative entrepreneurs, and we don't want to sound like we don't recognize that because we do. We want to be additive. This is something that we want to bring to the landscape. It's not thinking that great things aren't happening. We just want more, and we want to be doing it together. And to that end, I have some great partners behind us. We've got Keshet Center for the Arts. We've got, yeah, they're doing great things right here. We got representatives from City Alive right back here. and the Downtown Arts and Cultural District. So these are just some of our few partners that have come on board, but also represent things that are really happening and the vitality of this community. All right, we have one more speaker, and the reason that we're here doing this press conference is because we believe that places matter. And it's important to us to launch this initiative in a dynamic place and space, and this creative business is the perfect place. And we have the most gracious host here today, John Mark Collins.
Thank you, Shel. It's actually weird being in here with the lights on. It's kind of like a bar when you turn the lights off after everybody goes home and you're like, whoa, this place is not the same. But in all seriousness, we want to thank the city and the mayor's office for ongoing support. You know, we came into this building through the city's Engage program. We worked closely with Carlos Contreras and the mayor's office to find the spot and get in here late last year. And it's been, you know, a great thing for us because at that point we were at a tipping point. We were at a space where we needed more room. We needed a public-facing building where we could have people come in and see what we were doing. And shortly after that, we hit another tipping point where we started to do public events and even hatched a second business out of this location, which is now, we think, going to be a huge creative boon for the economy down the road. So it's been a really big thing to be able to get into this space. And I assure you, it's much cooler with the lights off. But we are eternally grateful, and we see great things not only with the Engage program that we came in on, but this Tipping Points program into the future. We really want our business and future businesses to be able to thrive here in Albuquerque. You know, we've kind of put our roots down, so we think this is a great, there's a great, you know, future on the horizon. So we appreciate it, and thanks for coming.
All right, so I'm hoping that those of you that got your invitation, especially artists, creative business leaders, that you're going to stay and hang out with us for about 45 minutes to an hour. We have questions for you, and we also have snacks, but they're around the corner. So you have to go to where the table is to talk to us to get the snacks by design. But to John Mark's point, we're going to end a little bit dramatically because we're creative people, right? And we want to show off this space a little bit for John Mark. So lights, please. All right.